Live.
Hello, good evening and welcome to United Stand. It's Sunday, it's 9 PM. United are shite. We're not even going to go to the whole panel and talk about yesterday's game because the most exciting thing we saw yesterday was a mouse on the pitch and the groundsman who found a big enough fork to dig up the tree on 45 minutes and take him off the pitch. We've got a fantastic panel on. We've got Alex, Joey, and I'm very pleased to welcome Mark back. Mark, I'm going to come to you straight away. What was going on yesterday?
I did my rant yesterday, and I don't want to get up on that high pitch straight away, but there are a few things I want to say, and really I want to throw it out to the panelists. It's great to be back, and the live people who are watching, and the people who are watching it not live, because let's not dress this up. I mean, realistically, we can't all agree about what we think about Manchester United, other than the fact it's a baffling shower of mess. And the solution for me is probably different to everybody else. But let's open this up and let's all say where we are and where we think, because hypothetically we're the Manchester United board, because clearly there is conflict there. You've got Sir Alex Ferguson mouthing he's gone. You've got David Gaal saying it's up to Woodward and Glazer. You've got Woodward backing Louis van Gaal because that is where we've got 15 games left. We are 5 points off Spurs, and they've got a massive goal difference, so that's 6 points. So that's 3 wins before we even get level with Spurs, even if they lose 3 games. So we've got about 10 games left to go for fourth. I won't give up on it because I can't face another season not in the top 4. But it's very difficult, and if they keep Louis van Gaal, it is finished. My blame is 100% with Ed Woodward. I'm past Louis van Gaal. He should have been sacked at Christmas. 100% Ed Woodward. David Moyes, Fabregas, Ramos, Louis van Gaal, Wayne Rooney. 5 massive mistakes that anybody would be sacked for making. And I do blame Wayne Rooney for part of this, but I'll go into that a lot later. But for me, Ed Woodward and the Glazers are 100% culpable, and I'm fed up of people going on about Louis van Gaal now. He is useless, he's absolutely rubbish, but people who come out and say, oh, he picks the team. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll flip it round. Ed Woodward picked Louis van Gaal. So the blame is 100% firmly with him. And I'm just interested to see what everyone else has got to say, because I think it all needs to be said, and I think we just need to go for it as fans. First show, I've never worn a Manchester United top, and I won't wear one until they get rid of Louis van Gaal, because we are muppets as fans. We are being mugged off. And if we all unsubscribe like I have today from MUTV, and we all stop buying the merchandise, very quickly they'll listen to the fans. You do have the power. People today saying, oh, there's no point not turning up to games, it won't make a difference. It will make a difference. You just haven't got the balls to do it.
Yeah, the thing is as well, what you don't want to see, I'm obviously based in Newcastle, and you have Newcastle fans who will turn up to matches with banners against the manager, against the board. We shouldn't get to that state. We shouldn't get to that state because we are a bigger club than that. And I'm terrified to see that it is going to go that way. You saw the fans booing yesterday, booing the manager, booing the club. It's going to get worse. And I think I said it before Christmas, that I actually saw in Van Gaal that he had lost it. He had lost the plot. He wasn't interested in games. I think you touched on it yesterday. For me, he doesn't want to be there. So someone needs to actually make a decision and get rid of him and move this club on. Because as you say, 15 games to go. We've got 2 wins in the last 10 Premier League games, which is an absolute shambles. Joey, I'll come to you. Where do you see the fault on this?
Well, just for you and Joey though. I'm saying 100%. If the fans don't go to the games, they unsubscribe from MUTV, we would take control of the club again. Anybody disagree with that?
It's impossible to get every single one to do it, and that's the thing. If you even have a small part, you're not really denting their pockets. I understand what you're saying, but you would need it on a massive scale, and people just don't want to be. They're not, when it comes to when push comes to shove. They don't really get into it. They don't want to be bothered. They just sit on Twitter and complain about it. But I think to look at the problem, if you look at it, you look at where the snowball started. And the snowball started with the squad that was left when Fergie left. Now, I'm not saying that Fergie's, immaculate and untouchable. I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was a brilliant interview with Andy Tate, and he talked about Fergie's obsession with getting value for money. He had to spend money in those last few years. The squad that was left wasn't good enough, in my opinion. I think we can all agree with that. Yeah, they won the title, but the league that year was worse than it is this year, if you can believe that.
I don't want to interrupt on you, Joey, but I totally think this is a myth, and I'd be interested to see what everyone says. And let's just interrupt each other and just do all this, because I think that's what the viewers will want. I think Sir Alex Ferguson left the team that nobody else could manage, and I think he would have won the league the year after year, the year after that, the year after that. I don't think there was anything wrong with that team. It was a championship-winning team. I think Ronaldo was going to join. I think something happened in his personal life, and he left. I think the big problem was Moyes being appointed was absolutely shambolic.
But you also have an aging Rio Ferdinand, an aging Nemanja Vidic, an aging Ryan Giggs. We've seen these players leave, and now you're seeing a complete lack of leadership in that. Wayne Rooney's had to take that on, and Wayne Rooney just isn't a leader, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that the squad, was terrible, but it wasn't up to par with David Moyes coming in. You needed to bring in a better manager than David Moyes. Some of the blame goes on the Glazers. A lot of the blame goes to Ed Woodward. I completely agree with you there. And I think a lot of the blame also goes to Louis van Gaal for not making a bigger deal of Ed Woodward not getting realistic targets in the summer and leaving him with a squad so thin. His arrogance said, well, I can manage a squad to get top 4, maybe challenge for the league, and then we'll reassess our targets next summer. So I think the blame, it's not just on one person. I think everyone needs to be blamed. And I think you aren't going to see something done until, like Mark said, you start messing with the Glazers' money. They're going to lay back in the shadows until you start messing with their money. They're very greedy people. They just fired their NFL team's head coach about a month ago now, when it was a complete shock to everybody. So they do have that capability to fire and to sack, to step in, but only when you start messing with their money, and that's what we'll have to see.
I mean, I'm just going to jump in there very quickly. Woodward's not sacking Louis van Gaal because Woodward doesn't want to make himself look an idiot. I mean, we're Manchester United, we're the biggest club in the world, and at the moment we're on our knees because one man who doesn't understand football refuses to sack somebody everybody in the world knows needs sacking because he doesn't want to look like an idiot. Well, I'm sorry, Ed. You're absolutely useless. We need a football director. You might be fantastic at bringing money in, and that's why the Glazers love you. But as a football man, name me one deal, Martin, that that one thing he's done good apart from, I don't know, Kentucky Fried Chicken signing up for us or something like that.
Bow cow.
No, Alex, not.
Unmute yourself, Alex. I mean, come on, it's a free for all.
Well, I was going to say, when it comes to me, that I usually agree with pretty much 99% of the stuff Mark says, but I could not disagree more with that you saying it's a myth that Fergie left us an average squad.
Good, this is what we want. This is what we want.
He left us an absolutely hideous squad, but I'm not blaming him for that. Well, I used to think that he used to challenge himself to see how fucking shit of a squad he could win the league with every single year, just because he's the best manager ever. You're not telling me that you can have absolute trash like Johnny Evans in your team, Tom Cleverley in your team, and players like that, and still completely win the league. And it's the squad he left us is De Gea, RVP, and arguably Rooney are the only three Manchester United quality players that he left us, because Rio, Vidic, and Evra, obviously in their prime, they were absolutely amazing, but they were all really, really old when he left us. We didn't replace any of them. I know he always thought that Smalling and Jones would replace them, and yes, Smalling.
Alex, I really do think that is just, and Joey, and Martin, and everyone else who's calling me mad on the comments, but I think it's just such a cop-out. He just won the title. He's the best manager ever. If he'd stayed, he would have won the title. And also, you're forgetting the fact that Ed Woodward appointed Moyes and bought Fellaini. I mean, that even if the squad wasn't that good, that summer should have been about rebuilding, buying players, and they absolutely messed it up. Even if I give an inch and say it wasn't a great squad, I'll give you that. But they had a whole summer, and it was disaster. Absolutely.
They chased Fabregas the whole summer. And I think if you look around the league now, and I was thinking this earlier, in every league, I don't think a central midfield partnership is as crucial as it is in the Premier League. I think it's vital. You can get away in Spain with playing weak players in central midfield, but not in England. You see it now. When Schweinsteiger got the suspension, Schneiderlin was hurt, and we had Carrick and Fellaini. That's when December happened, and it's been terrible. But going back to the squad he left, I mean, he left Valencia, Nani, and Young out wide. I think that says it all. Carrick and Cleverley in the middle. I think on Alex's comment about Johnny Evans was better under Fergie that season than Smalling is this season. That's controversial for you.
Whoa.
Oh, look at the stats. Go look at the stats.
Right. I'm gonna right.
Stats.
I'm gonna half agree with all three of you, but what I'm gonna say is you've got to remember Fergie had the biggest say in bringing Moyes in. Ed Woodward stepped into that role and probably just went along with it and went, yeah, okay, I'll go along with you. Fergie had the biggest say in that, and he's got to be culpable for looking at.
Can I just butt in there quickly and just say Fergie said on his autobiography a number of times that Moyes was nowhere near the first choice that he asked. After he asked Pep, he asked Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp even said it before the Liverpool game that he got asked before Moyes. It's just Moyes was just.
But then we shouldn't have settled on Moyes.
I know. I 100% agree with you. I'm just saying that Moyes was nowhere near first choice.
No, but I mean, there's still that culpable there. The fact that he's gone to his house and said, "You're the next manager." I mean, if you're David Moyes in that position, you literally snap the hands off anyone who's going to give you a contract to go and manage Man United. Yes, I agree. The team was pretty. I mean, there were some poor players in there, but we still won the league with it. I probably agree with Mark that if Fergie had stayed on in the season, we probably would have challenged again much closer than Moyes did. But
I'd have won it, Martin, definitely.
We'll never know. But the thing is that Fergie jumped ship very quickly. I know that there was personal circumstances, but he didn't have to leave and cut off completely, and David Gaal cut off completely and leave us in the worst position you could possibly have, bringing in Ed Woodward, who only knows money, Moyes, who only knows that Jagielka needs to be studied as a defender for the likes of Real and Vidic. It's laughable. But I mean, that's spiraling. I mean, we're talking about things that happened 3 years ago that are having an impact now.
Yeah.
But let's look at now. I mean, we'll look at the board.
Just quickly before you go to that, can I just staying on the past quickly? I want to ask Mark one thing about how he's saying that the squad wasn't average and everything. Sorry to cut you off, Martin, but what I've said on the show, like previous times, is that we're Manchester United. I know Fergie won the league with absolute shit so many times, but do you think the squad that Fergie left us was anywhere close to Barca, Real Madrid, or Bayern Munich's level? Because that is the level that we should be competing in. In 2011, we were in the fucking Champions League final. But if you look at that team, even that team was absolute trash, really. It's just Ferguson was just such an amazing manager. But if you look at it, player for player, if you like, I absolutely hated Moyes and all this. But you say that if you'd have put a different manager in there, apart from maybe the likes of Jose Mourinho, I don't think Pep would have won the league the following season with that team. But there was just so many average players in it, and when you compare it to the likes of, like I said, Real Madrid and everything, it was nowhere close, in my opinion. Like, do you think that we could have honestly, take Ferguson out of the equation, because he was always like X factor in it, do you think that it was anywhere close to Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Bayern Munich's level?
I think you could ask me that question in about 10 seconds instead of 10 minutes, but we need to move on because we're already 13 minutes in and we need to get into the present, definitely. There's loads of you watching. If you can all like the video, it means a lot to us and it makes a big difference. I think Sir Alex Ferguson would have won the league with Notts County. He was that good, and I'll leave it at that. I think the Glazers loved him because he spent no money, and as Joey said, he could win a league with Cleverley in his team and Johnny Evans, and I think Sir Alex Ferguson bringing it into the present. He's a board member now. Is he culpable? I don't know, but I'll pass it back to Martin.
Yeah, I'm just going to go forward. I mean, we're looking at solutions now, right? Well, I think we're pretty much as a collective that Van Gaal's got to go. Whether he's got to go now or at the end of the season, I think Joey. 2 weeks ago when I was on, you were sort of on the side of saying that he shouldn't go just yet because we need to keep some continuity.
He was on a two-game trial for me.
Oh, right, okay. So I take it he's got to go now then, yeah?
Yeah, because I think when you think about the present, you look at it now. Can Van Gaal get top four? Probably not, because he can't get the best out of players. I think that's just, the thing that disappoints me the most about him is that he can't get the most out of what he has. If you would have gave Fergie that squad last year, I know we're not talking about past, give Fergie that squad last year with Falcao and Di Maria, he would have won the league. It's not would he have won the league, it's how many points he would have won it by. So now you're looking at the present. I don't think Van Gaal can get the most out of his players. I think Giggs will give him more creativity in the final third. We might not be as good defensively, but you have De Gea. I think Giggs has a better chance of getting us top four this season than Van Gaal does. So I think he has to go now.
I mean, I don't know what you lot think, but I was watching the game yesterday, and I will never not watch Manchester United. It's impossible, but it's a living nightmare. an absolute nightmare, and which is apt because they send you to sleep anyway. But I'm baffled. It is so, I've never seen anything like this in 30 years. Absolute diabolical. And as Joey said, I don't think he even wants to be manager anymore. I think he's sat there thinking, I'm being booed, I'm rubbish, why am I still the manager? One thing, Martin, I'll bring it back. Ed Woodward doesn't want to sack him, doesn't want to make himself, but we will not get top 4, and this baffles me, and somebody just said it in the comment section there. Surely Adidas, we're going to lose a load of money. I just think we've just got a complete clown in charge, and his name's Ed Woodward.
I can't disagree with you. I really can't. I mean, someone needs to make a decision fast, because if
12 hours to save our season, I think he's got to go tomorrow or not.
If we keep going the way we're going, we're not going to get top 4. We're not even going to get in the top 6. You look at the teams around us. I mean, if Arsenal had wanted it, I mean, Chelsea are creeping back on us. I know Chelsea are in 13th place, but they're not that many points off us. No. We are 2 losses away from dropping even further away. I don't even think it's worth talking about the top 4 anymore, because I genuinely believe it's gone. It is gone. So if Van Gaal let's say, okay, we'll put this across all 3 of you. Van Gaal is sacked tomorrow. You've got Mourinho available. Is he actually going to come? Pep isn't going to come. What are the other viable solutions for all of you? Because we can't just focus on Pep and Guardiola. We've got to look realistically at potential other managers. And I don't even want to talk about Giggs, because that frightens the life out of me, even that. So, Alex, for you, you haven't got Pep, you haven't got Jose Mourinho. Who else do you think can actually come in and get us top 4 before the end of the season? Is it even possible?
Well, like in terms of Jose Mourinho, I think it's pretty public knowledge that he wants the job so badly, because he said himself that he wants to stay in England, and there's only one job that it's like been rumoured for years and years and years what job he wants. I think I would go as far as say if we got Jose now, we could still win the league, because it's not like this league has been absolute trash, that we've been so shit before the Southampton game. We've been so shit the entire season, and we were only 7 points off top before that game. So I don't know how far. I think we're 10 off top now, but I still would have faith in Jose Mourinho, and 16 games left that he could still win the league, or 100 million% get us top 4. But taking him out of account, there's been rumours of Pochettino from Spurs. That might not be a bad shout. He did well at Southampton. He's done really well at Spurs. Koeman is another shout, maybe. He's linked with the Chelsea job now, and apparently Hiddink's putting in a good word for him. He's done well. I saw someone in the comment section there, Daniel James, just saying Rafa Benitez. I would literally kill myself if we got Rafa Benitez.
I will go and support City.
Yeah, that would be an absolute disgrace. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Like people always say, and it is really true. I don't want him as manager, but why should Giggs get an opportunity at the job because he gets the club? Yet Mark Hughes is never.
Oh God.
No, I don't want him. I don't want him. But I'm saying, why is his name never chucked into the hat when he played for United as well, and he actually is a decent manager? So it's like I don't know.
I want to know why Giggs has had this free pass. I mean, I know Moyes, took him on, and it was that sort of romantic sort of side of it. But why did Giggs have to be kept on as part of the Louis van Gaal thing, unless they weren't grooming him to take over later on? Because if Giggs wanted to be a manager, he could go manage anyway. He could have gone to Swansea. So why is he staying there? There's got to be a reason he's staying there. There's got to be something in that he was either being groomed to be the next manager. Otherwise, go and manage somewhere else. Go and manage in League One. Go manage Salford City. Why is he sitting there next to Van Gaal, not doing a thing? He does nothing. He is. I mean, I think people have said it that he is. He's got Man United in his blood. I'd rather he walked away. If he's got any respect, walk away from what is going on at the club. He cannot be sitting there next to Van Gaal thinking, yeah, this is going to change in the next couple of weeks. It's going to get better. He can't be as arrogant as Van Gaal.
It's interesting, Martin, because David Gill said that today. He more or less what you've just said there. I don't know whether you saw it, but David Gill said it's down to the Glazers and Woodward to make the decision to sack Louis van Gaal, so we know who to blame. And he also was asked about Giggs, and he said most number twos aren't good enough to be number ones. He probably needs to go elsewhere. So it's not the whole club that agrees with it. He's not in my top 3 from the class of '92, let alone the world. But I know you're going to go to Joey, so.
Yeah, Joey.
No, I just look. I think you were saying it's not going to get. He's sitting there. It can't get worse. I mean, it really can't get worse, can it? I mean, maybe we start losing 2 and 3 now and 4 now, and the defense would be, and De Gea will go on a bad spell. But it really can't get worse. So I think Giggs at this point. I mean, who else are you going to have come in? I sat here just thinking about that. You know, the only thing I could think of, you know, is you find a manager who has you know, maybe won something. I don't know. But you look at I think the next manager that comes in, I don't think it's going to be Pep, and I don't think it's going to be Jose. I think you have to look around, and we have to find our own Pochettino. You know, I don't want to poach him. I want to pick a different manager. The manager who I think deserves a shout maybe this summer would be Antonio Conte. Now, I know that's going to be controversial because fans associate him with 3 at the back, but you know, he's won leagues. He's won leagues as a player. He won the Champions League as a player. You know, he's innovative, and he'd get a shout. He'd definitely get an interview in my book. But for now, like I said, the club's in a big hole right now because Giggs is the only option other than Van Gaal. And the reason you were saying why is Giggs sat here, because he's got assurances that he is the next Manchester United manager, in my opinion. I believe he has assurances from the board, from Woodward. That's why he has been studying for the last 3 years under the current manager. So if they're going to do it to Giggs, why keep waiting? Give it to him now. Give him a week left in the transfer window to nail a target or 2. He knows the targets, surely. I'm sure he has some type of input on that. Bring in a goal scorer. You got to do it now. You have, like, if they sack him in February, that is going to be the dumbest thing in the world. Might as well have just given it to the summer.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, for me, there's another candidate that I would have thought of, and you might disagree, but I would have gone even for Diego Simeone. That would be a shout that I would go for. Have you got any other opinions of anyone you would bring in?
I think if the question is what would I do, I'm not a hypocrite. I said Fellaini was crap 18 months ago and got a lot of stick for it. We said Louis van Gaal out a year ago and got a lot of stick for it. And we're not sat here tonight saying told you so. And I know there's most fans on our viewers with us with that anyway. But a lot of people out there have been pro Fellaini and pro Louis van Gaal and are now waking up. Well done. But if you're asking me, Mark Hughes doesn't come to Manchester United. He's been mentioned because he's been to Man City and he let them win the title when he was QPR manager, so he doesn't come in. Diego Simeone, I'm not a hypocrite. I don't forget. Never forgive him for what he did to Beckham. No chance. So he doesn't come in. Jose Mourinho at Christmas, I would have said no. 100%. I would do everything you can do to get Jose Mourinho now. You know why? Because I don't think it's unrealistic that our club is going to end up like Liverpool. I think this next 12 hours is critical. We need top 4 this year. You get Jose Mourinho in, like Alex says, you get top 4. I think we're in that bad a state that a month ago I would have said no to Jose. Now I'd bite his hand off 100%. But what I would say about Alex, what Joey said about Giggs, I'm not as opposed to him as Alex is. It can't be worse than now. If I was offered, it's either Giggs or we stick with Louis van Gaal, you go with Giggs. I get Sir Alex Ferguson to basically be in charge, but Giggs be the front man and sort it out in the summer. But we've got to make a change in the next 12 hours. There's still something called the transfer window. I know we've totally ignored that as a club. That's still there for a week. I know they don't want to spend money, but if it was Chelsea, I know we slagged Chelsea off. They are decisive in the transfer market and they are decisive with their manager. And Alex was saying this the other day. We can't afford to be out the top 4. I don't think we can. But you watch what Chelsea do in the summer. They won't be in the top 4. They'll get a top class manager and they'll bring top class players in. And that's because they're decisive. So what would I do? I would sack Louis van Gaal. I would go all out for Jose Mourinho. And if that doesn't work, I would get Giggs. I think there's lots of people like Pochettino and Koeman who I've mentioned who I really like. But we're in the last chance saloon. We can't risk it. We have got to get somebody now to get out to rescue our club. And we could go bust. People laugh at that because in the next 12 months we're going to be the most bringing the most money in club. But we're owned by the Glazers. We've got debt. We're going to lose a lot of money not being in the Champions League. And this team is shit. It's not even the second amount of goals to Aston Villa. Anybody can come to Old Trafford and beat us. Anybody. We are absolutely crap, and we should be under no disillusion about that. So Jose now, I would just go and do it. And I don't even know if he's the right man. I just think we've got to get 4th place.
What about Muhlenstein?
I like him. I do like him. He's a bit left field, but I do like him.
It's fucking terrible at Fulham. What are you talking about?
But you know what? What I would say. Joey just reminded me there. If you did go with Giggs, I think he'd get Scholes in, and he'd have Sir Alex Ferguson on their shoulder. So I tell you what, I would have Alex over fucking Louis. I don't know. I never swear over Louis van Gaal. So it's got to be done, but it won't be done. It won't be done.
But the worrying thing is that, like you say, we've got a week left of the transfer window. They're clearly not backing Van Gaal. They're not going to give him any money. We clearly know we need to spend on the squad. We've got that many injuries. So there must have been discussions. There's had to have been discussions on the board as to what they're going to do next. I mean, you're looking and you're thinking, if we don't get top 4, what does that mean? If like you say, Mark, we can get Jose in, which is, I don't think it's going to happen, but if we can get Jose in, at least players are going to want to come back to Man United, because nobody wants to come here at the minute. Absolutely nobody. Anyone we're linked with, it's bombed out quite quickly to say, no, those rumours are nonsense.
Why would you come? Why
exactly.
would you come?
Because you would, any midfielder or any striker is going to be basically playing with a lump of a player of Fellaini. They're going to be playing sideways passing, no attacking football. I mean, I said it a couple of weeks ago, I feel sorry for the likes of Martial, the likes of Memphis, who came here and they've had all of their natural talent drilled out of them. I mean, they're saying in the changing room that Rooney's having to like scream at players to get them up and get them going. That shouldn't be happening week in, week out at half time. We should not be going into games at half time 0-0. It's just embarrassing. Where do we go from here? I mean, the next game, I couldn't even pick the starting lineup. I don't even know what the score is going to be. You know, when Joey was saying it can't get any worse. We're only losing 1-0, 1-0. I'd probably rather see a team come and hammer us 4 or 5-0. At least a bit more exciting than the fact of us just pitching the ball across the middle of the park. It's just I've had enough. I've genuinely had enough of watching it. I mean, has anyone got anything else that they're desperate to cover? I mean, I've lost the plot, to be honest, in the past couple of weeks watching this team.
I didn't even know that until Mark just said that. If that's fucking true about Aston Villa are the only team that have scored less than us in the league. I haven't looked it up. If that is actually true, then that
Alex,
we have 28 league goals, I believe it is. 28.
Our last 11 games at half time have been 0-0. I mean, the stats get better than that, Alex. That one is true. Only Aston Villa have scored less goals than us. Like I said, the amount of 0-0s. How many games have we won in the last 15? They are stacked up. They are massively stacked up.
Also, but when you look at it and we talk about the amount of goals scored, look at our striking options. We have a Wayne Rooney who's over 30 and a young kid who is unproven and still getting his feet wet. So it shouldn't be surprising. I'm sure you guys talked about this on deadline day because I talked about it on another channel. This isn't surprising. We came into the season with the bare minimum in every single position except for central midfield and fullback, and now those positions are depleted. So this isn't really that surprising when you look at the end of the transfer window and the summer.
I think, I'll throw it to you three, free for all, like I say. What I would like to see happen, and it won't happen, is just some clarity from the club, because we can say it's Ed Woodward's fault, and it is, but we don't know what's going on. And what really annoys me about Louis van Gaal, and I don't want to go on about him because I don't blame him anymore, I blame Ed Woodward, but he's on about, like, he needs a left back, he needs a centre back, he needs a midfielder, he needs a striker. As Joey just said there, we were doing shows twice a week all through the summer saying this, and he didn't buy them. And then on Friday he's going, I've got loads of injuries. Manchester United for the last 5 years have had bad injuries around defensive positions especially, and he came into this squad with a squad, ridiculous, like Joey said. And I also want to say as well, we'll go to Alex. Give us your thoughts on that. But I don't care. I left this show 2 weeks ago. I didn't think I was going to come back, so I'll just say what I think now. I blame Wayne Rooney. I'm sorry. I think the contract he got was a disgrace. I know Rooney divides opinion, and people are going to absolutely kill me now, but he was back to his crap best yesterday. He's meant to be the captain. And you know what? I was sat there while I was filing my nails thinking what I'm going to have for tea watching Man United. I was thinking, if you put Roy Keane on that pitch, you watch what would happen. We might still lose the game. He'd have had Lingard, he'd have had Fellaini, and he'd have kicked somebody else at the backside, because We just don't. We are leaderless. Joey said it at the start of the show. We are leaderless, but still people back this lad who's just had his third kid, took it down to Liverpool because don't want it to have it in Manchester. 300 grand a week, absolute useless for 3 years. Nothing contributes nothing to our squad. I think that's a massive problem. I think there's a culmination of things with our having a rubbish manager, having a bad board, and having no leadership on the pitch.
I mean, obviously he didn't have the greatest of games yesterday, but to be fair, I didn't think he was one of our worst players. I know I've been his big...
I'm talking 3 years, Alex. I'm not talking yesterday.
Oh, okay, 3 years. Okay, yeah, he hasn't been living up to his wages. His wages are an absolute disgrace when you look at in the grand scheme of things. I think he's the highest money earner in the entire league, actually. I think he's first and then Aguero second, but then if you tried to compare Rooney, and you can say, oh, whatever, like, I'm backstabbing United, but if you try to compare Rooney to Aguero, there is no comparison. And that's another thing, just to touch on what we were talking about earlier with the Glazers. Bear in mind, if you just want to be a little bit more depressed than you are, we actually had the chance to sign Aguero before City did, and we refused to sign him because we didn't want to pay his wages. So now look at what a fucking stupid decision that was in hindsight. But in terms of Rooney, yeah, he hasn't been pulling at his weight, but yet he's still our top goal scorer this season. So that just shows how bad we've been, like, going forward. And I've said on this show a number of times, like, in the transfer window, we should have signed a certain player. I said yesterday that certain player would score against us, and lo and behold, he did. And then I was saying to my friends today on WhatsApp to them, I know you guys don't want him, but I was always saying as a third choice striker, because now if we get someone injured, we have no one. If Rooney and Martial got injured, we're playing like Will Keane up front, and what the fuck is he going to do? But I said to my friends in WhatsApp earlier, and I still 100% agree with this, that Charlie Austin has signed now in, what was it, like, he signed on like February 21st or something. So he had half a season's head start behind everyone, and I guarantee you he will end up with more Premier League goals than any player in our entire team, and that is just an absolute disgrace. Not necessarily like a disgrace that we didn't sign Charlie Austin, but the fact, like, what was it, in like 2015, our top goal scorer was Mata with something like 10 goals or something absolutely ridiculous like that. And then I don't even know why I was surprised when you said the thing about Aston Villa, but that is an absolute disgrace, and I do not know what the hell is keeping it. They've just stuck with these stupid morals of the, oh yeah, we're not a sacking club, we're not a sacking club. Well, guess what? You're not a fucking successful club anymore with how you act, because if this was Real Madrid like attacked Gareth Bale's car. They like pounced on him, like when he like did it, like missed a sitter or something. Could you imagine if Louis van Gaal was at Real Madrid? They would literally drag him into the streets and pour gasoline over him and set him on fire. He would literally be chased out of town. Can you actually imagine it? Like, our fans, like, they've started to boo now. And it's like we just have such a perspective of like that we just stand by everyone. And it's like stupid thinking like that is what costs us, like that everyone just wants to be so loyal. And yes, it is good to be loyal, but people have to understand there isn't going to be another Fergie, there isn't going to be another Arsene Wenger, there isn't going to be another David Moyes at Everton, and that, like, literally in modern football, the most a manager will stay is like 3 to 4 years maximum. And then that's what kills me about when people say about Jose Mourinho, that he's not a long-term solution, yet Pep Guardiola is a long-term solution, yet Pep Guardiola, like, the longest he's stayed at a club is like, what, 3 years, 4 years as well. So Pep isn't any more of a long-term solution either, and he's actually publicly come out and said that he wants to manage, I can't remember if it's like Brazil or Spain, one of them, at the 2022 is it World Cup? Oh, is it Brazil? Yeah. Brazil at the World Cup. So it's like he's openly said that he's going to bunk as well. So I don't know why everyone goes on about Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, tune in for more of Alex next week.
Yeah. Alex, I was going to...
The free-for-all's just died, as somebody said on the live comment box there. I've got to go to Joey about this. What Tyler just said there, didn't I back Rooney 3 months ago? I did. I'm talking about his leadership. I still think he's not a bad player to have in your team, but he's not the captain. As for Charlie Austin, I still think he's crap. And not Manchester United standard. I think what happened yesterday is Southampton created chances, we didn't. Joey?
Yeah, I mean, you look at yesterday, I don't even remember. We had one shot on target, and it was just a silly shot, not even really testing the keeper. I think it was right at him. So, talking about Rooney's leadership, I just think that the players look at him, and and they don't respect him. That's why you see him trying to be vocal, but he's not the type of leader. He's not going to inspire you. He's got to lead by example, and he can't do that because his physical traits, his speed, his stamina, they're gone. He's done. He peaked early, way too early. But yeah, he's done for me. He should go in the summer. I don't think you'd find many people who would disagree with that. And if you would, they should have their head checked.
We should have sold him to Chelsea 3 years ago for 35 million.
Imagine. Yeah. You could thank Moyes for that too.
Yeah.
Instead of selling him, we turned around and gave him a fat new contract and paid the shit out of him.
Yeah, Chelsea would have took him for 35 million. Mourinho wanted him.
And they still won a league anyway. They probably would have won at least one league. They did that, and he would be their problem now.
And you're all slagging Sir Alex off for leaving a mess. He was going to sell Rooney, so.
Yeah, true, very true. Do you know what I want to come back to? The stuff on Villa. Villa are more interesting to watch than us at the minute, and Villa are awful. Villa have been awful, but actually they've got a new manager in. Yes, they're not, they're still crap, but bloody hell, they're more exciting to watch than we are. We are average. We are bang average, and we are in so much danger of becoming a top 10 team, not a top 4 team. We are so poor, and if things don't change with the board, the owners, the players, the whole thing needs to change. Ed Woodward needs to go. We need a new manager, and we need to go and spend massively on this club again. I mean, that 250 million that we've spent in the past 2 seasons, what have we got to show for that?
Can I just quickly cut in and say what you're saying about with the spending money, and it is true, but
do it in 60 seconds.
When City, sorry.
If you say net spend, I'm going to scream.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say net spend. I was going to say, City and everything. When they got their money, they could buy their way to the top when they were a nothing club, and then they brought themselves to being successful. The problem is now we are the richest club in the league, but with this TV money coming in and everything, it's like every single team in the Premier League, I think, shoots up into the top 40, is it, richest clubs in the world? Yeah. So now you're seeing teams like Leicester and everything getting successful. That I don't think that you can actually now buy success in the Premier League because everyone else is rich as well.
Yeah. You can, but now instead of 250 million, you're going to have to spend 500 million in 2 years. You're going to have to outspend the people that have the money now. So it is possible. And while it looks so bad now, and it's so bad that a few pieces, not a few, maybe 3, 4, 5 players, and this squad can challenge for the league. They're not as far off as I think. I know it looks bad now, but a goal scorer, a winger, a center back, a little bit of depth, just a little bit. And I mean, there are some great pieces here. You have a young kid in Martial. People forget we have Memphis Depay, who was one of the best young talents in Europe last year, and he's just not doing it because of the situation. And I'm going to put that on Van Gaal because I think Van Gaal's supposed to be a father figure to the kid, and instead he's kind of pushed him to the side. So I think, like I was saying, you have Schneiderlin, you have De Gea, and you have Smalling. You have Luke Shaw coming back. It's not as bad as it seems, but top 4 is everything. I told you about it, Martin. I said the same thing a couple weeks ago. I said we have to get top 4 because we got to get the quality of player we need. We can't just go signing anybody. We have to sign quality now. You have to add that quality to the squad. You have to have that Cantona signing, that Van Persie signing a few years ago to turn it around. It can be turned around. Will it? I mean, we'll see.
What yesterday? He needed to get. I don't rate Lingard. I don't think he's ready. He may never be ready, but he picks him every game like Fellaini, which I think knocks us down to 9 players. I knew in the second half. Obviously, had to sub Darmian for injury. I knew he was going to bring Januzaj on. He's got Pereira, who I'll never understand why he doesn't play him, because I've seen him on the tour and I've seen him in the reserves, and he's a very good player. He's better than Lingard. He's got Memphis, who is better than Lingard. I knew he was going to bring Januzaj on. What is that all about?
Because Januzaj is a better left back than Lingard.
Yeah,
and Memphis.
Yeah, and he's a reject from Dortmund, and he comes straight back into the team. But I agree with you, Joey. I really do think it is as simple as the manager. I think we have got good players. We saw it against Chelsea. There was no way that was Louis van Gaal's team selection or tactics. Either Ferguson went in or Giggs was given the reins, because I think he was going to be sacked. I think he wasn't there on the Sunday because he was going to be sacked. And Woodward inexplicably made him stay, and he came back because that was no way his tactics against Chelsea. And like you said, we played far better. We went on the front foot, and that will happen if they get rid of him. But what I want to just go through all of you and say is that it's dire. I'm not going to lie, it's dire. It's really, really precarious. Top 4, I don't know. I'm only saying yes because I want to believe, but it's got to happen in the next 12 hours. I don't think it's going to happen. It's got to happen in the next 12 hours. If it doesn't happen, I'm sorry, it's going to get worse. We might win a couple of games, but I think Michael Owen said it, who I don't respect, funnily enough, but he said, it's been like this for 18 months, it's never going to get any better, it's about how long the board makes the decision, and they said it on the Sunday Supplement this morning, all the journalists. Would you, as a Manchester United fan, boycott the club to force him out? I'll go to you, Alex. Martin, sorry, I'll go to you, because Alex has had his go.
Would I boycott the club? I mean, there's no secret. I can't travel to games. But if I was a season ticket holder, then
I don't think they're important, by the way. I know that's not going to be very popular.
I'm not going to get into that debate. But I'm simply saying that you had a lot of fans. There was a lot of interviews going around. You know, there's different channels that interview people at the ground. The amount of people that basically said, "Why have I wasted my money coming to see this?" You know, you have got people who travel from overseas. There was a lad yesterday actually who was tweeting me and you, Marco. He was tweeting the United Stand account, and he was sending pictures of his day out. How much money did he spend coming from overseas to watch United play yesterday and watch that disgraceful performance? I think if you're gonna hit them hard, you're gonna have to hit, you know, as Joey said, if you're gonna boycott it, it's gonna have to be on a global scale because the club is just too big. They will constantly be rolling money in from their overseas fan base. I think, you know, the 70-odd thousand that will fit in Old Trafford is simply the tip of the iceberg of the money that this club brings in.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Well, you're also going to have fans, like you're saying, that kid that came and he spent, you know, that he came because of the name. But you're going to see in a few years, like me right now, I would never spend money to travel overseas. I mean, you're talking a couple $1,000s. You know, that's just to get there. And then once you have to spend money, I'm not going this spring. I wanted to, but I don't want to come there just to take a nap. I can do that here. You're going to start to see that. And like I said, once you start messing with the Glazers' money, then there's a problem. But they do need to realize, and that was a fantastic point brought up about getting top 4 with the Adidas money. That's a big chunk of change. They want that chunk of change. You got to make the deal now. You got to just take a deep breath and just let him go. It's going to happen because he's not getting his top 4.
But Adidas thing's interesting as well, like you say, Joey, because if we don't make the change now and we don't get top 4, that percentage of that money goes next year. So that's money that we won't have to spend on players to get back.
That's a big chunk of change, and that's just not money that's going into players. That's money that's going into their pockets.
I can't understand why Ed Woodward tonight isn't sat on the toilet with his arsehole going like that, because that money is like it's going out of the bank. And what I wasn't disrespecting fans who go to the game. What I was saying is they've paid for their tickets, and that is banked money. And there's 70,000 of them, and there's 2 million Manchester United fans worldwide. The fans at the ground aren't going to make a difference. I mean, you can not go. That would make a big media difference, and it would put pressure on the club. I don't know how many subscribers there are to MUTV. If you unsubscribe from that sort of dent will start to make them think. It's immediate impact on their financial outlay that would make a difference, and you can do it. Would I boycott them? Well, I'm not wearing my Manchester United top because I don't want viewers of this show to think that's a nice top Mark's wearing. I'll go and buy that. I'm not because.
But what we're talking about here, Mark, is actually quite sad, and it's sad that it's got to this state that actually
I think it has to happen.
Debating it. Do you know what I mean? I said it at the very start of the show tonight. We should not become that club who has to make those kinds of actions to get our voice heard. We're the biggest. We are still the biggest club in the world, and we are on the edge of just falling and free falling for a very long time.
We almost sound like Arsenal fans. We have to get top 4.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It really is embarrassing, and I, for one, would never walk away from Manchester United. But I think it was Billy was saying today, you know, you look at German football and Bayern Munich, they're run by the fans. This is what's gone wrong with the game. Joey was saying there's going to be so much money, and Alex was saying as well, there's going to be so much money in English football that we will have more than everybody else, but Leicester will be able to pay somebody like Vardy 300 grand a week. So we're going to have to pay the next Aguero 700 grand a week. It's just so colossal. football is being destroyed by money, but football is run by money, and we are just customers, and we used to be very important, and it's how we become important again. I don't know how it can be done. I really don't know how it can be done. Personally, I am stubborn enough not to go to a game. I don't go anywhere at the moment now since the United stand, but I'm stubborn enough not to go. But I know that there's hundreds of fans, thousands of fans who would take that place because it's a day out. Old Trafford's a day out. You know, hardcore fans do go, but there's also fans who just go for a day out. I think the way to hit them is through the pocket. It's sad, like Martin says, because we're all passionate and we're all Manchester United fans. And what the saddest thing is, we can see he's got to be sacked. We don't like to sack people, but we can see over a sustained period he's got to go. And we're terrified that it's not going to happen. And I really do believe, and I've got to give Alex a chat, I know he's spoken for England tonight, but I really do believe they won't sack him in the next 12 hours. But if they did, I mean, it's a precipice. It's not this season. If we're not in the top 4, that's next season written off.
Alex?
Without
a doubt. I personally don't think he's going to be sacked. I've said it time and time again. He would have been sacked already. Like, he should have been sacked after the Norwich game. It was an absolute disgrace how we've let it drag out this long. And like what you were saying, I saw those Michael Owen tweets as well, that he was like saying that it's been lasted too long. And it's like, it's just so demoralising, and I feel bad for like what Joe was saying about like paying all this money or whatever to fly over, but there are actually people that do fly over and pay for that shit, whereas I was thinking like Sunday League, I could go watch a Sunday League game and they would have more penetration than United have, and when you think about how much money we're playing about it, and I tell you what, the thing they're going to wait for as well is that how we've like lost to Southampton, they won't care about us losing to Southampton. We're going to go to Derby this weekend, and I guarantee, or on Friday, and I guarantee you we will lose to them as well, and they still won't sack him. Or if they sack him, then that would have been, even if they do sack him after that game, then it would have just been more time wasted and a competition we actually had a chance of winning. And it's just such a piss take. It's so infuriating. And you guys were talking earlier about the transfer window, but I don't even see us panic buying anymore. I don't, and the fact that we haven't bought anyone shows that they don't trust him.
Here's an interesting point, not that you're not interested, Alex, but Daniel James just said that we can't sack Louis van Gaal till Tuesday because of the stock exchange. I've heard this rumour before. I don't think it's
Monday. It'll be Monday.
It'll be Monday, wouldn't it?
It's not a bank holiday, so
it'll be 2 o'clock in the afternoon your time. That's when the stock. I think it opens at 9 o'clock my time.
Yeah.
Why do you have to worry about the stock exchange? I mean, seriously.
I don't understand that either.
Because we're a public limited company, so you have to do it. Because I don't think all clubs are public limited company, but when the Glazers took over, I think they.
I guess you could like manipulate the market and sell if you knew he was being sacked and it wasn't open, or I have no idea. It doesn't make sense.
It's ridiculous. It's like they put a load of shares on the stock market with United, and then you don't get any dividends off them as well. So I don't get why anyone would buy them if you don't get a dividend.
Yeah, but it also, I know we're talking about the stock exchange then, and it just echoes the Glazers and how much money they've got. They've got no interest really in what's going on with the football state or the fans. You know, we're looking at people to blame. Joey was saying that they sacked the manager of their NFL team or the
yeah, they fired him after the season. This team had progressed really well. They're definitely rebuilding. They're probably worse than we are, if you can believe that. But they were rebuilding and they were going in the right direction. Granted, this coach is a veteran coach who is a classic underachiever, but he had it going in the right direction. So, but I want to point out to one of the comments that was made and said Ed Woodward is a Glazer, and I believe he is. I believe they see him as a brother, as a family member. So I think that's a collective thing. I think it's all of them. I think the Glazers and Ed Woodward need to get together and do it.
He's got the receding hairline to be a Glazer.
And a shitty haircut.
Yeah. But my point is with the Glazers is that they don't care what is happening football-wise. They are not a footballing, family. They haven't bought the club to love Manchester United. They've bought the club because it's a cash cow that they will keep milking while it makes money. And even with the state of play at the minute and Van Gaal and how crap we are, the unfortunate thing is because we are so big, we will constantly make money, and that is why the decision just isn't coming yet, because we are not at crisis yet. And until we are mathematically not in the top 4, and we are going to lose a big chunk of money, they won't do anything.
You're right, and I think Mark was talking about the corporatism coming into football, and I think that the Premier League is looking at the NFL. If you look at the NFL, all 30 teams have a chance to win the league or the Super Bowl, and I think they're looking at their model, and I think that model is coming. And I wouldn't be surprised if you started seeing, you'll start to hear about one Premier League game being played overseas. That's the way football is going. It's not about the fan. It's not about anything but money.
Yeah, and I just want to say as well, I think sort of picking up on a few things there. They're not football people, they're money people, and this might not be as bad as it gets. Even if they sack Louis van Gaal, who's to say they won't get it 3 times in a row wrong and appoint somebody else, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. There's a massive bigger picture here, and I think it's the ownership of the club, and it's been rumbling on for over a decade now. These are not good people to be in charge of our club. We've made so much money over the years, it's gone into their pockets, la-di-da, it's a cliche, it's very true, but there's no guarantee that, Louis van Gaal, in a way, is a small part of a bigger problem. And if and when he goes, yes, he should go tomorrow. He won't go tomorrow, we expect. But even if he does go, they'll probably make another bad decision. And as fans, as started it, and I suppose we're approaching the end with it as well. You can't be willy-nilly about this. It's where do you stand and what do you do about it? And we can come on here every week and keep saying what we're saying, but people will still go, people will still watch, and they will still keep taking your money. And while they're doing that, the only thing that's going to bother them, like Martin says, is we will not be in the top 4 and we will lose money, and it will be their fault. And it was their fault at Christmas, it's their fault now, and I think the last 12 hours are the last chance. Don't know whether anyone else wants to say anything.
All I'm going to say before we close up and go around everyone is we want Van Gaal to go. There's no denying that. We want him to be sacked. But we're sort of saying that the board has got that decision to make. But at the same time, Van Gaal is so arrogant, he won't walk away from this club. And to me, he should have done that before Christmas. The very fact that he is still there, because he can make that decision himself. He walked out of Old Trafford yesterday and was booed off the pitch at half-time and booed off the pitch at full-time. If he's going to turn up at the next home game and think that it's going to be any different, then he is delusional as well as arrogant. And that's where I'm going to leave it. And I'll go around all of you guys. Alex, if you've got anything
Can I just
else?
jump in, Martin, because there's a comment that's going to whiz off, and I just want to bring it in. And I do apologise for everybody because we've sort of ranted tonight, and we normally bring the live comments into it, and it will be back in next week. There's over 500 of you watching. If you can drop us a like, that'd be fantastic, because it's been a really pleasurable show. But Anthony Johnson, and pick up on this, lads, as I go through, as you say your bits, but he has swore. I'm not going to say that, but he says boycotting games. I'm M35 born and bred. It's a joke, boys, to boycott games. Give your head a wobble. #idiots. I don't have a pop at people and be abusive, Anthony, but what I would say is who's the idiot? The person who's going to keep going every week and putting money in the Glazers' pocket, or the person who's not going to go and not put money in the pocket? I'll leave it with you who they'll listen to. Joey?
Look, I'm not saying to boycott a game. You're talking, like I said earlier, about the global scale that you would need. One person, even 100 people isn't going to put a dent in their pockets to make them notice. The protests need to start. The green and gold scarves. You need to go back down that route. I think there's a way to do it, but will it happen? I have no clue. I think this is scary that until top 4 is mathematically gone, that he's going to be here.
Alex?
Yeah, as someone said in the comment section earlier, and it's completely true, like about boycotting the game and everything, you can't really boycott the game if you're a season ticket holder because you pay for the season ticket ahead of time. So it's like they would have just been sacrificing something that they've already paid for. So I do see the logic in trying to boycott it and everything. But as Joey said at the start of the show, you'd never be able to get enough. Like there are clubs like Blackpool and stuff that try to boycott games, and they have way less fans than at Old Trafford, and I just don't think it's possible. I think if it would work, then gladly do it, but they need to just keep booing or something. Like the Moyes out banner, as embarrassing as it was, it actually did seem to like perk them up into action, but I don't think anything will cause them to sack Van Gaal, honestly.
I agree with you. I wasn't undermining the fans who go to the ground. You paid your ticket, you can go. I don't think you're going to make any difference forcing him out unless you boo. Which I don't know. I don't know where I am with that. I don't know. But Mike Ferguson says, can you read this out, please? Louis van Gaal will go tomorrow. I'll be ecstatic if you're right. Really would, but I think it's too good to be true. But like Christmas all over again, and it is the 25th. Martin?
I've had my bits here. I don't think boycotting's the way to go. I don't want us to become that club. And I think the people that go week in, week out and pay for a season ticket, you've got to give massive respect to them for paying that money, putting the time in to go. If I had any way of doing it, even though the club's in this position, I would want to go, because I would still want to go and watch Man United. I know there's the argument of putting money in the Glazers' pockets, but at the end of the day, it's bigger than that. We all support Man United. We've all known about the history of this club, and to boycott it, I just don't see the massive the productivity in that, because I think it will just get worse and worse and worse. I'm going to close the show. What I'm going to say is I can't see this getting any better in the immediate future, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens this week. It might be that we have massive change, or we're going to be sitting here next Sunday going even madder, because it's just going to be the same crap again. I'll just say thanks to all of you for coming on. Thanks to everyone in the live comments. Thank you to everyone who's watched. Please like it. If you're new to the channel, you've never watched us before, please subscribe. As Mark always says, it is all about your opinion, and we do reply to all the comments under the video. I'm pretty sure that all of you are going to have quite a lot to say about tonight's show. Has anyone got anything else to say? If not, I'll close it there, and I'll just say thank you very much for watching, everybody.
Speaking of ticket sales, it would take a quarter of the ticket sales anyway to pay 1 week of Rooney's Rage, so...
I'd like to leave it there. I just wanted to say Red Rumours is on tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Obviously, that weekly with the George Devil, so please do watch that. And I pray that we will sack Louis van Gaal. John O'Neill says unfollow the Twitter page. I suppose it's a little thing, might make a difference. But yeah, great to be on the show. I'm not going to be on every week, but brilliant to have Joey on the channel and Paul and people like that. It's getting bigger and bigger. And one thing I'm just reminding myself, actually, thanks to Martin for hosting it. One thing I would say about this Louis van Gaal thing is that I think over the last year we've been a bit like Arsenal fans. There's been a lot of infighting in Manchester United. It's ridiculous. And one thing over the last few weeks is I think most people are on the same page, so that is a positive. And to be honest, if I didn't have this outlet, I think I would go stir crazy, because it is horrific at the moment to watch Manchester United. But great to be on the show. Thanks for all the lads, and like, subscribe, get involved, get commenting below. We'll all reply, and hopefully we might be doing some videos tomorrow for sacking Louis van Gaal, but I won't hold my breath. See you all later.